Hey, what's up, guys? Uh, Today's gonna be a little different of a video. Today we're gonna talk about my sobriety. I know, boring, boring, boring. I guess I should kind of give a background of, like, a little bit of my life. Obviously, I'm not gonna go too deep into certain things because of, like, OPSEC and whatever, but I do want to, like, touch on a few things that hopefully I can, like, share with somebody else who's gone through what I've gone through. And yeah, and it'd be great. Well, I'm not trying to hug it out here, you know what I mean? We're just giving a little, a little, talk about what's going on. So I'm 2 years sober off of alcohol as of like 3 days ago. I was a really bad drunk. I ruined basically everything in my life. I'm a complete loser. I don't have a career. All that stuff. Basically, I 86'd it for myself. You know what I mean? I decided that drugs and alcohol were more important than a lot of things, and what are you gonna do? Like, obviously, I hold a deep regret to a lot of this stuff. I've made some things right. I'm still working on others. You know what I mean? This is an easy thing to talk about, but we're gonna get into it. When I was drunk, I was basically like a hobo. You know what I mean? I buy the cheapest liquor on the shelf. Like $8 fifths of vodka and like Milwaukee's best ice, and I would just slam. I couldn't stop. If I had alcohol, I had to drink it. You know what I mean? Like I had to. I had to get every last drop. We couldn't let, even if I was on the verge of death. Oh, there's one more beer in the fridge. Gotta go get it. And I remember at one point, one of my best friends, he called me a booze hound, and that shit like really fucking hurt me. You know what I mean? Because he was right. He was fucking right. And yeah, so that's why now when I insult people about their alcoholism, I say booze hound because I know that it gets that, bro. That hurts to hear that. But yeah, so I did the whole thing, puking on yourself, pissing the bed, doing all the fun things. Eating weird shit out of my refrigerator in the middle of the night, waking up with burn marks on me from cigarettes because I was too stupid to fucking hold a cigarette properly. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff like that. It was very terrible. It was a solid like 15 years of my life. Flushed down the drain, gone. Bye bye. I don't get that back. I turned 40 this year, and yeah. So, despite all that negative stuff, right? I'm like actually in the best headspace I've probably ever been in my entire life. For real. Like for real, I am. I'm not gonna say I'm happy. Nobody's fucking happy, right? That's not the goal. Well, I mean, the goal of life is to be happy, but most people don't achieve that. Let's be real. It is what it is. But I'm okay with that. There's things that I enjoy, that make up for me not being a happy person now, where I didn't have that in the past. I would just wallow in all of the things I've ruined, all the relationships I've ruined, all these jobs I fucked up, fucking up relationship with my family, all because of a little chug a lug, right? And then also in my 20s too, I was doing benzos and drinking at the same time. That's fucking stupid. Don't do that. Holy cow, that was really stupid. And I don't know. I kind of got talked into like an acceptance of this because when you come from like the place where I come from, like I'm not gonna say I came from like the most ultra poor upbringing ever, but like we weren't rich. We definitely weren't middle class, you know. But when you get raised, like I grew up in New York, Nassau County, right? And you're around these kind of people, like you start justifying shit in your head like, oh, this is just normal life. Like you see these gangbangers and stuff. Like I used to know gangbangers and stuff when I was a kid, and they're like, oh yeah, this is fucking normal. That's not normal life, dude. Just as how drinking a fifth of whiskey and fucking pissing yourself in your backyard isn't a fucking normal way to live. But I didn't know that because all I knew was junkies and fucking alcoholics and these fucked up people, drug dealers and gangbangers and shit. Like when I was a kid, they were all fucking retarded, right? Excuse my French. But like, dude, come on, you know what I mean? And Like I really thought that this was like a real, like this is how people live. And then when I left New York and I moved into New England, up north and all that, like I started seeing people that was living their lives completely different. You know what I mean? And I go to church and I would see these nice people there. And like I don't know, I kind of felt like, like in Home Alone when Macaulay Culkin's standing outside that fucking window looking in on these people having a nice dinner. Like that's my whole life. You know what I mean? And but I'm glad to say, like, where I'm at now, like, I don't get that feeling no more. I feel pretty good, and I'll give you a little explanation of how I got sober, especially considering, like, yo, I was like on the verge of death, bro. I was probably 50 pounds heavier. I was pale as crap because, like, literally the only liquid I would drink was like White Claw at one point, like just slamming the White Claws. I'm like, there's like no calories in them. Good, good, good. Chug a lug, bud. But basically, I had gotten to a point, 2 years ago where I was having issues sleeping. I wasn't digesting my food right. There was a myriad. My skin was getting all fucked up. There was a myriad of things that were happening to me that was getting me really nervous about, because I've seen what alcoholism does to people, and like it's horrific. You know what I mean? It's horrific. And I was just like in the most depressed point in my life. Like I have no idea like what to do with myself. And I was talking to this person I know, and this other person that they know, hooked it up, and I got like this is where we're gonna get into this is not recommended route for getting sober, by the way. Um what ended up happening is I got like 4 doses of DMT, and I didn't know how much to smoke and all this shit, so I smoked it all at once. And it completely changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. It was so weird, bro. Like going through that experience, like I literally was not in this realm of existence, bro. Like, if I could ever say that at one point in time, a psychedelic, and I have a lot of experience with psychedelics, right? If I could say at any one period in time that I actually felt like I wasn't on the planet Earth, it was that time. And so I'm going through this experience, and you go through the trip and you think, oh man, that's crazy, that's insane. Like, I don't even know how to process this. Like, my brain was so fucked. It was like, it's like what they say, like seeing a real alien in real life would be like for the first time. Like, you or your brain can't even acknowledge like the complexity of what the hell is even happening, right? And that's kind of like what happened to my brain, and it kind of rewired me a little bit, and I started, I don't know, just kind of looking at a lot of stuff. So I didn't quit drinking right away after. It took like a month of my brain spinning around in circles thinking about all this stuff. And then one day I was just like, yo, I'm done. I'm fucking done. And I put it down and I ain't drank a drop since. And I don't think about it like at all. I think I thought about it a couple times when I first quit, but luckily, I used the weed syrup as a crutch. And I know people, oh, well, blah, blah. I'm not giving up weed, dude. Sorry. I'll never be fully straight edge, dude. But the damaging sort of annihilating things that were in my life, like, benzos and you know, alcohol. Like, I'll never touch that ever again. I don't need to trip anymore. I'll never touch any of that again. Right now, like, my biggest high is like knowledge, like knowing how to do some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to come as close to Elliot Alderson without the mental illness. You know what I mean? I want to be hacker man and have some like real serious like actual skills. I talk about this ricing stuff, but I read a ton about cybersecurity. You know what I mean? Like, and and I kind of got into that whole realm, and it's just such an interesting topic. And when you get these little wins, like when you figure these little things out, and it's just like, oh, I feel like an idiot, but like that's a high within itself. You know what I mean? All these little puzzles. And I'd rather have that kind of addiction than have an addiction to, some sort of substance. Obviously I'm smoking a cigarette right now. I'm still addicted to cigarettes. What are we gonna do? You know what I mean? But One day, hopefully very soon, I'll be kicking those too. That'll be a grumpy couple of months. So I'll tell you that. But yeah, so I would not recommend smoking 4 doses worth of DMT and going into the shadow realm in order. There's a lot easier ways of figuring this shit out. But I feel like for certain people, like if you have a crippling addiction that's gonna fucking kill you, you should try everything that you can. And that was like my last resort. I actually pre to that, like before that, I was what you would call it? I was taking mushrooms. I was eating mushrooms like candy, bro. Just like paw, 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 paw. And that toned me down a little bit because I was a lot more angry and a lot more like fucking weird and egotistical and like very much like thought I was the shit, even though like in reality I'm a fucking loser. But I learned something about being a loser, which is great. People can't tear you down when you're always at the bottom, you know? Yeah, so you can start doing some real like you could do some real shitty stuff and get a big kick out of it, you know? But I shouldn't talk about trolling anyway. Move on, move on. But yeah, I like ate the mushrooms for a while and that just didn't do it. But yeah, that DMT thing, that fucking I'm still can't. Uh, I used to role play. Uh Here. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with Pascal's wager. And if you're not, I'll explain it. Pascal was a French mathematician back in the day, and he kind of looked at life like this. I don't know if God is real or not, so I'm just going to live like a Christian just in case he is real so I could go to heaven. Right? And that's kind of how I lived my life for a long time. But coming back from that thing, I kind of realized like God's a real thing. I'm not going to like preach this on to anybody. Like I feel like this is something personal for you to figure out for yourself, you know what I mean? But since I'm getting personal, I'll kind of talk on that a bit. Like, coming out of that and you know, dealing with this past 2 years of sobriety, like bro, like I wouldn't be able to do this shit if it wasn't for God and like weed. You know what I mean? Like, because I just think that there's a higher purpose to all of this, right? And like, I wasn't a good person. I mean, I guess it's still kind of a shitty person. I'm a little bit of a troll and whatever. But back then, I was real bad. I didn't care about nothing but that drop of that booze, you know? But yeah, so I got God in my life now. I've got like some really great hobbies. I just bought this guitar. I'm teaching myself how to play the guitar, which is great because that's like another puzzle that I can figure out for myself. So I don't know. I don't want to go on too much longer, but I just want to say like I'm glad that I got my 2 years of sobriety in. And if you're a person that's watching this, like and you don't think you can make it through, like, bro, like you could definitely make it through. Like this shit's for clowns, bro. Like here, let me give you an example. My sobriety has turned into an absolute hatred of alcohol because it's the biggest scam on the fucking planet. It's it's no big deal. Just have a wine cooler. It's no big deal. And they start you young. They get you young, just like with the loot boxes and the video games on the gambling, right? They start getting you. Oh, you want a Shirley Temple? There's no alcohol in it. Special drink, right? And so eventually, by the time you're a grown adult, it's like, oh, here's this booze, and the thing is the shit clouds your fucking mind, bro. It clouds your mind more than anything else, right? So like, even if you don't have a severe alcohol problem, you're still like 10% stupider, just from having that within you. You know what I mean? And it's just a giant scam. It's just a way for people to get you to spend more money. You know what I mean? People just exploit drunk people. That's just how the world works, I guess. I don't like exploitation in any route. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is, right? So like the whole alcohol thing, I have a really hard time. Like I'm also a libertarian, so it's like hard for me to like talk like this because I want people to be able to choose their own path in the world and this and that. But like, yo, alcohol is the problem. I remember when I was a kid, they had all that dare stuff, and they would talk about weed being a gateway drug, and I never wanted to do anything weird when I was on weed. Nah, dude. When all the times when I was taking pills and doing all this crazy shit, I was drunk. And when I look back on it the next day, I'm like, man, I shouldn't have fucking done that. Like, I'm such a loser. You know what I mean? And the weed never made me do that. The only thing weed ever made me do was eat way too many cheeseburgers in one sitting. And reality is, I could go run a couple laps around the block and deal with that. You know what I mean? You can't deal with, like, all your money going away and X, Y, and Z. I don't know. You guys get it. You guys get it. But yeah, I figure I would upload this and kind of talk about that because I thought it was like pretty cool. Like I actually made it, dude. Like I thought I was gonna be dead, you know? I watched, like an online friend that I had pass away from fentanyl, and I watched, and that was recently. And then, I've seen like a lot of people die from opiates and stuff in the past like 10, 15 years, and I just, like, it's all a fucking scam, bro. You're getting scammed. If you're addict, you're getting scammed. You're getting scammed by the dealer, you're getting scammed by the pharmaceutical company, and you're getting scammed by the American government out there protecting those fucking poppy fields. You know what I mean? That's what's up. Anyways, I got more videos coming. I'm gonna do a video on LabWC pretty soon here. I got the rice already done. I just wanna kind of live in it for a little bit and see if there's any more like new little things. You know, right now I'm on the Hyperlane. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. I really appreciate you trying to watch this video and whatnot. And if you're somebody that's, dealing with issues and, yo, hop in the Discord, hop in the Matrix server or whatever we got kicking around. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be there for you because I probably won't, but I'll talk to you about it and I'll give you my insights of like what I went through. You know what I mean? I got no problem doing that. All right, I'll check you guys later. Peace out.